Welcome to episode 141 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
Beta!
And Gray.
Good evening, everyone.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian1 website at Guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@Guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much, Hollow River. All right. The Destiny 2 beta is out, and we have all had a chance to play it. And so let's just get right to it. I do want to know what we need to start off with first. Jez, what do you think is the most important thing we start off with?
You don't want to ask that question for me.
Oh, but I do. The question is, do you not think I should ask you?
I don't think we should start out with mine.
Okay.
It's a thing.
Let's skip you then. Agrios, what do you think is the most important topic we should start with?
Balance in PvE, balance in PvP, and then versus.
Okay.
I think that's the most important discussion to be had, and going to be the longest one.
Got it. Sharks, what do you think? What do we need to talk about first?
I don't know if it's necessarily should be first, but I want to definitely talk about everybody complaining.
Oh,
everybody.
Yeah. Complaining. I'm looking forward to this one. Gray, what do you think? What do you think we should talk about first?
I think we should talk about Homecoming.
All right.
I think those impressions on that first story mission.
I think we can do a really quick one of that. I think the movie was really good.
The movie? You mean the cutscene?
I'm talking about Spider-Man.
Oh, I am very interested in talking about that as well, but now's not the time nor the place. I do want to note that I'm like a hardcore Tobey Maguire fan as far as being Spider-Man, and this is the first time I've really felt like I can let go of that. You know, I understand his time has come and gone. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I do like that idea. Great. Let's start off with Homecoming. I was very impressed by basically the whole thing, like the graphics. I don't have any idea how these graphics could be any better. I'm playing on a regular ass PlayStation 4 on a regular ass high definition television, and it looks phenomenal. The cutscenes look phenomenal. The in-game engine looks phenomenal. It's smooth and it's amazing. And I don't know what it is. But I hope that Bungie is able to capture more moments like that one we discussed previously, where Amanda Holiday is it's like looking at the Traveler and flying by and says like, "Come on, big boy, do something." Like, I really feel that. I don't know why I really feel that. But even every single time that I've started a new character and I'm watching this cutscene, I get there and I'm like choked up for reals. I feel that she believes that something that this giant orb that has never done anything in her entire life and her lifespan has done anything. It's just sit there. So
I gotta mention your little ad lib made entirely changed that scene for me in my head.
continue.
Come on, big boy, do something.
It's big guy. But Big boy makes it fan fiction.
Yeah.
Big Boy makes it a delicious restaurant. So it's that whole scene is just really powerful to me, and I really hope that they're able to pull in more like that, because the whole thing, start to finish, every instance where you're in the game with the other characters is fantastic. I revived Zavala. I didn't know this is something that you could do. I didn't know that there was a way for Zavala to fail. But he didn't capture all the missiles, and he fell. This is insanity. Gray, what is your take on that?
The revive piece, or just the first mission?
Just the whole thing.
I mean, loading into that first mission and watching the engine to start showing us the environment and how rich and full the environment was, got me immediately excited. And I really enjoy really sharp graphics, very smooth frame rates, and particle effects. And they were all there. I'm like, how are they packing in this much, fire and explosion and enemy movement, and it being butter smooth when we jump into Wrath of the Machine? And even on my PlayStation 4 Pro, the frame rates drop and it kind of stutters at the War Machine. It just goes to show how, the technology and the game development, the engine development, now we're 3-4 years since the Destiny 1 engine. This is optimized so much better for our current hardware. It gets me really excited for this as our baseline. I want to explore it more. I want to see what they've done with this engine in terms of the environments. So as we get into, I can't wait for Destiny 2 so we can continue to enjoy and see more of what they've created, because this little taste, this first mission, it was perfect. I can't think of what I'd want more out of it.
Yeah. You're totally right. The richness of it was just amazing, and this is something that I'm planning to capture and tweet out at another point. For some reason, my PlayStation wasn't feeling it. When you're at that part where Shaxx tells you, hey, why don't you head on out this way and I'll take care of these people. If they want a war, give them a war. I sat there for a second and I looked at how well rendered this character was. Someone I had never been that close to. Like, I'd never been able to, in game, walk that close to Shaxx. And as I'm standing there looking at him, above his head there's an electrical, like a short, and it keeps shooting out these little embers, and the embers actually trace his helmet and his chest plate, like the way these particles interact with the surroundings is real. And it was amazing watching it like bounce off his helmet, bounce off his chest piece, and then like kind of fizzle out. Like, this is incredible. This is phenomenal. And yeah, as a base, like you said, this is a great. That's not to take away from the original Destiny. Like, I feel like Destiny 1 was absolutely fantastic, especially as someone who played on both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 360 at the same time and really did not notice. It didn't really notice. Like, if I was to put them side by side, absolutely. PlayStation 4, hands down, super crisp. But the way the game felt and the way the game rolled, the 360 is an amazing machine. And I'm glad that we are to this next level, though. I'm glad that we're to the next level. Agrios, what do you make of the first level of the Homecoming? Thoughts, opinions? Go.
I enjoyed it. I felt it was. I mean, since I don't know how it'll be when we tackle it in the actual game itself, but I mean, relative to our own level, it felt fairly easy, and there were frequent interactions with characters. So, it really felt like a very well done playable cutscene. Like, the whole thing, the whole way, start to finish, felt like a well orchestrated playable cutscene. And I hope that Destiny 2, we get a good mix of missions that are relatively simple, so you can enjoy the surroundings and enjoy the imagery, enjoy the story, intermixed with missions that are challenging, and you got to stay on your toes, and you can't take your eyes off the enemy and stuff like that. And I feel like that makes for an enjoyable playthrough experience. And I feel like, you know, they heard we want more story in our gameplay, you know, for sure, loud and clear in that what I played there. One thing I can add is that it was a different gameplay experience, not entirely, but slightly, than what I played at E3. There were changes to various parts that we did play and extra parts that weren't there. So that this is more than was available there. Yeah.
Excellent. Sharks, what did you make of this first level, and also how it differed from the one that you played?
Okay, well, first off, just like what Agrios said, because it was different, I think that's what made it super, super exciting for me personally to play. I was going in with expectations of basically playing the same build that we did at E3, and of course that was the same build that they had at the reveal event also, that everybody went down and played. So that part there was super exciting, kind of surprising at the same time because of how much more they showed. I mean, basically, they showed that entire mission from start to finish. Whether that's the first mission in the game is up for debate, but I mean, that's it. Whether it is or whether it isn't, that was a whole mission. That was awesome. Cutscenes, great. The way it felt, awesome. I love the ability to go into the tower when you're fighting with Zavala and having outside players, other people there join you. My first walkthrough, I had decided that I was going to look for potential ghosts or whatever, or just glitches, whatever I could find. So I was in the whole mission for probably an hour and 15 minutes. But a lot of that time I spent in the area where Zavala was, being able to actually kind of test out weapons, test out the supers and whatnot. So yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I loved it. The whole thing was perfect.
Excellent. I feel like if they can capture that feeling of not being alone necessarily, like you were saying, that random people dropped into the mission, that was pretty crazy. That actually changes things quite a bit, because I mean, especially if I feel like that's representative of what's going to be happening for probably the majority of the game. Like that probably is not in a darkness zone. What are they even calling it right now? A lightless zone, but that part with Zavala isn't a darkness zone, is it? Or no revive zone? Is that what they're calling?
None of it's a darkness zone.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that changes a whole lot right there, in way incredible ways that I'm looking forward to. I do enjoy playing lone wolf style, but the fact that other people might join in, I mean, it's really a pro and a con. Because sometimes I like to just mess around, like go into a story mission and just mess around. Like I want to climb walls or look for a ghost or something. So I don't know. Maybe it will be more like a patrol zone in that way, in the way that I will be able to. Jez. Oh no, Gray. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Jez, what did you just say? Did you give me your opinion?
No, I just gave you an opinion on an opinion that you had an opinion.
Oh, okay. You're just the last person up on my Skype. All right. So, what did you feel about all of this first mission?
So I do want to touch on Holiday because it's nice that they added a touch of religion. Because after all, most of them do think of the Traveler as the sort of god. So it is nice that people are like displaying faith
Yeah, there's definitely a belief there that it comes with the fact that this has been their protector for so long, and I guess people know everywhere that the Guardians get their light from this traveler.
Yeah.
So
rather than it being just taken for granted. Overall, yeah, it being slightly longer on both sides was really nice for people that have already played it too. Um, yeah, it's just a really, really good mission.
You know what I really liked was that that additional sense of everything falling apart right towards the end, because in the beginning, so the beginning of the mission, everything's fine. I love the music when Cade walks in, like it builds this suspense that's just fantastic. Every time I watch it, it's amazing.
That reminds me, there is one part that I did not like. That every time someone wants to talk to you, there's an invisible wall right next to them.
I did notice that too.
It's like the door's open. Why can't I walk through?
You know what that kind of reminds me, when you first walk up on Cade, he says, hey, what's going on, you two, or something like this, referring to you and your ghost. I think that's really cool. The idea that they're, focusing on it as an entity separate from yourself. But in the beginning, everything's fine. And, here comes the attack, but they still had communications. And then there's one part where Zavala is like, Cade, status report. And he's like, well, I'm low on ammo. I thought that was so funny. Like, who cares? Like, what does that have to do with anything right this second? But then comms go dark completely. Like, I'm really excited to see what comes next because of the way they set it up. We had some kind of control over the situation. I mean, we didn't, but we were still able to move around. Like, we defeated a bunch of Cabal on the tower.
They were raising your hopes that everything would be under control.
That's it. And they took that right away, right before me and my ghost got kicked off that edge. I also did like that our Guardian reached out for the ghost and kind of helped it. I thought that was really touching. Gray, your return thoughts now that you've heard all of this talk.
I mean, the other thing, I've played through it only twice so far, and I want to play through it probably at least 4 more times before this beta is over. But as we're going through the environments that we're used to, that, it's so striking, right? We're in the plaza of the tower where we have spent so many hours just emoting the shit out of that environment. And now it's being destroyed, and then going over to North Tower and seeing the whole area of the speaker just ripped off the side of the tower. Like, it took me a while. Like, I had to stand there and just in awe of it, being like, this environment has been just completely destroyed. And then you go through that door and you're in this little kind of, middle entryway that has some shops and the ramen shop and whatnot, and you get to a place of the tower that you haven't been before. But it was really cool to go through familiar environments that were changed so drastically. And then part of me actually sat there and went, I want to be in this tower in this engine because it looks so good. Like, just looking at the environment, the railings, the different textures. I'm sitting there going, well, when I go back in and play Destiny 1 after Sunday, I'm going to be sitting there going I want the good tower. I want the tower that looks all sharp and new, even if it's being destroyed. But that's probably, I get the impression that's going to be the tower, the only time we get to experience that environment. If the story is what it is and it's being destroyed like that, that's probably all we're going to get of that old environment, I would suspect.
What did you think of the nods to the existing tower?
What do you mean?
Define.
Well, there's the deflated purple ball.
Oh, I didn't see that.
If you go to the where the lounge is, you can hear the music through the door.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
It's a song super distressed.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like the jukebox is busted. You can hear the Paul McCartney song.
Yeah.
We were joking around, I wonder who decided to lock themselves in there and just start blasting the jukebox during this whole battle.
Right. I would say Cade if we hadn't already seen that he was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm certain that we'll come back to this as people are remembering other things, because it really is, 1/4 of the experience of this beta. So, and it's probably my favorite experience. Like the strike is really cool, but I don't know. I feel like I'm being pushed towards completing the goal, even when Sharks, no, even when I went in with Agrios and Lawn Boy. And we could just go anywhere we want because there wasn't somebody who joined this fire team to complete this strike. I felt like I was being pushed in that direction. So I'm really curious to know how big of an area this is. Agrios, do we have a word on this? Has anyone stalked out the corners of which you can go? Is it a big area? Is it a small area? Do we know?
Well, I don't think it's very big what we can access. I haven't seen anything that completely actually defines it, but I also haven't seen any, oh my god, you can go so far to a whole new area this way either. So I feel like where we've kind of investigated is the extent of it. Now, there is some glitching. People have managed to glitch into what many have already guessed is a lost sector. We found it. They resemble like vault of glass type doors.
Mm-hmm.
And people have managed to glitch into there. Now, it's not finished inside, or at least you can't load into the finished area. And there's nothing really to see but architecture in there. Now, nearby there, where we were, and I said that this looks really suspect, that little bridge area kind of, yeah, there's a place there where, spoilers, I suppose, in the beta, you can fight enemies until extra waves of enemies come out, and at some point there's 2 hobgoblins and a man cannon that's not active, and you kill the hobgoblins and the man cannon turns on, you shoot up to another one, repeat the process, and shoot out across the whole chain of them. And after you go through this cycle, an extra minotaur, a storm minotaur, or I think it's a storm minotaur, yeah, spawns, and you can repeat the cycle again. But then after that minotaur, it seems to dead end. So either we haven't figured something out yet, or this just is not yet active in the beta. This has something to do with maybe opening the lost sector, since it's right outside the lost sector door, people speculate. But that's about the extent of it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of videos pop up on YouTube about glitching into other areas. And my son, he's so interested in glitching. I'm going to sign him up for the Bungie testers program, because he's so interested in doing just the most mundane stuff, like over and over, trying to break through this one little section of rocks. I feel like I'm not that gamer. I'm not at all interested in doing something 1,000,000 times, 1,000 times. I'll do it 1,000 times, but I don't feel like they want people to do it 1,000 times. I feel like they want people to do it 1,000,000 times. And so I don't want to see what is not yet supposed to be seen. I mean, I do, but I want to see it in the real game. Damn, what were we talking about?
The amount of area we had access to?
Yes. I think that I was going to move on to another. What was the topic we were talking about? I've forgotten already.
That was the last thing we were talking about. You asked me about how much area there was. I don't know where we were at before that.
We were just coming off of Homecoming, and you're like, okay, so something about all the space that we have in Nessus.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. It was like 1/4 of the beta was Homecoming. Okay, so maybe we should talk about the strike. Go right to the strike. Jez, what did you make of the strike?
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Since you said that, let's say this. What is everybody's thoughts on, since, like what you say, 1/4 of the beta is Homecoming, that you can't actually replay Homecoming unless you either start a new character. Well, unless you start a new character.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think that's kind of lame, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried about saving any of my characters or any of their progress. So it is lame that I can't just choose it to redo it, but I feel like it's not that big of a a bummer to redo it.
here's why I think that it's lame, and then I want to hear what everybody else thinks. Is that okay? It doesn't make a difference if you save this character. You can go and play it later if you want to, but if you want guns, if you want to go and play PvP, and you're playing PvP over and over and over again, trying to grind for all the different guns to really be viable, and then if I want to go back and play Homecoming now because I'm bored with PvP, I got to delete one of those characters.
Yeah.
And since we don't have a vault to transfer stuff, that's why I say it's really lame.
Yeah, that is true. And each of the characters does get like different guns to start off with. Right now, I'm really loving the hunter's loadout. What were we gonna say? Oh, who else has a comment on this? What Sharks is saying?
Personally, I don't see too big of an issue with it because like the guns that you get from playing PvP, aren't they just the same guns that you can get from other classes?
Right.
Okay, so yes, you're right. You can get them all except for the exotics, but that's not what I mean. Okay, so for instance, my Warlock. My Warlock played 9 hours yesterday. My Hunter played 9 hours the day before. Okay, I was unable to get the same guns on my Warlock that I was on my Hunter after playing the same amount of time. So that means that...
Although I think you've been having extra bad drop rates because I've played way less than that.
It doesn't make it... That's not the point. The point isn't what my RNG is. The point is that because it's all based off of RNG, and I've played that many hours to not get those guns, and now if I want to go back and play Homecoming with my Warlock or my Hunter, since I've got a Titan going now too, I have to delete it, and that means that I'll have no guns. So that's why I say it's BS.
I definitely feel you, Sharks. I guess that I had not imagined even playing as many hours as you've already played it. I feel like I received what I needed to receive from the beta already. Like if my internet went out for the next couple of days, I'm not going to be starving for it. Like I'm really just ready for the game to come out. That's my final take on this whole thing is, I can see that these graphics are amazing. I can see that the gameplay is of the same pedigree. I can see that you have a good selection of guns that I have no idea about any of these things, and I'm very interested in trying them all out. And actually, I talked to my dad, and my dad he really enjoyed it, but he was struck by how small the amount of stuff that we were able to do was. He's like, well, I guess that's it for me. I knew I wanted it, and then I played it, and now I want it. So what? Just wait till September? And I said, yeah, just wait till September. Like that's it. And so, I mean, we still are able to do that cool thing, go into the farm. That will still be very cool, something to look forward to. And who knows, maybe Bungie has something else up their sleeve. But for the most part, Gray, were you affected by not being able to replay the first mission? Or is it not a big deal to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get 6 shots at it for the 2 different systems. But I guess my concern is it's not one that's founded yet, right? We don't know that this is the case. But my question goes back to the why. And is this an indication that this mission in the real game, when it's full live and everything, only allows you to play it once when you start your character? It's the first mission when the game begins, and you're not allowed to go back and replay that mission. I mean, we've got those class unlocking missions in Destiny 1 that you, as much fun as they were, you can't go back and play them unless you create a new character, right?
Yeah, that's true. So was the first mission unplayable? I think the first mission in Destiny was unplayable. I think the first one you can play is the one where you go back looking for that ship. I think the very first one. Was that Agrios? You said yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And I mean,
That's
it's
a really
I'm
good
just not a
point,
big
Ray.
fan of that because
Yeah.
like this is a mission, right? That there's certain things in it, certain environments, certain cinematics that I might want to experience again later on in my Destiny 2 experience. And if I'm locked out of it to the point where the pain comes in that you actually have to delete a character to go and get another shot at it, that's that's unfortunate.
Just
I hope
like
that's
the
not the case.
just like the missions to get the new subclasses are not repeatable as well.
Yep, you're totally right, Agrios.
Did I miss it? Did he already say
That's
that?
totally what Remy just said.
Oh, I missed that. I looked down to read the chat right at that moment, I guess. My bad.
No worries. But I mean, that's my concern. It's not founded. We don't know yet, but I kind of get that feeling that it could be that way.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to the strike. Let's talk about the strike, and then let's talk about the and then we'll talk about the PvP, and then we'll talk about the. You know what? Maybe we should talk about the PvE balancing. Let's talk about the guns. Let's talk about the guns. We've been kind of running out of time for this conversation the last couple of episodes. I really love what they've done with the guns. I love being able to carry two primaries. Like the idea that I can carry an auto rifle and a scout rifle at the same time. Like the scout rifle is a great tool, especially the Black Widow. I forgot. No, the Black Scorpion. Black Scorpion is a fantastic scout rifle, and being able to handle medium to close range threats, and then instantly switch to a longer, more targeted gameplay is amazing. And not having to change so much. It's not going from an auto rifle to a sniper rifle. It's going from auto rifle to a scout rifle, and I feel like this right here, it gives me more of a sense of like a Swiss Army knife. I feel more competent in certain areas, and there are times when I will see, like I've already started to naturally select when I'm going like to the boss of the strike. I'm using an auto rifle and scout rifle, and then once you start getting to the drill, I switch to auto rifle and submachine gun, because it's so much of a more close combat situation, and that feels really good to me. I do think that they need to up the amount of heavy ammo you get, because there was a great charm to sniper rifles, to shotguns, to fusion rifles, let alone rocket launchers. Like there's definitely a room for all of these other tools. And I know that they've already said that they've addressed this in later builds, but it needs to be said again, because that's just my experience, is that it was really the boss was pretty spongy, and at the end he freaks out and just follows you around. So if you don't have competent people on your team, you get stomped out and then go right back to the top of the deal. And so it's a little bit more difficult, not knowing. I'm paraphrasing here, but they said that they are looking at having certain enemies drop certain types of ammo so that your experience is a little bit more understandable, relatable. You will know when the heavy is coming, sort of. And I think that would be great. Here is an ultra. If I kill this ultra, I'm definitely getting heavy ammo out of them. Like, I feel like this kind of pacing would be fantastic, and is very important. It's very important to have that power ammo economy boosted. But other than that, I'm such a huge fan of the two primary, or even the sidearm. I can't say that enough. I think that's an amazing jump that they've made, and for me, even in PvP, I'm really feeling it. Let's go to you, Sharks. What did you make of the strike overall, and then what are you thinking about the weapons, the weapon balancing, what they've done with the new weapon economy?
Okay, so the strike itself, I I like it. It was fun to do. Obviously because I hadn't done it before. It's very different than any other strike that we've ever done. But the one thing that I kind of have an issue with, and I've seen this in Destiny 1, is Bungie making an environment a big environment and not filling it with really anything. You're just spending a long time running from point A to point B with very few enemies. So I think that was kind of wasted. Again, this is just a beta. We don't know how it's going to come out when the actual game comes in. But I hope that maybe it's more populated with other things. That's really my only criticism. I understand what you're saying as far as bullet sponge, but I didn't feel that it was really that spongy per se. You do have to have people kind of like paying attention, knowing what they're doing, but I don't know. I think it's actually even possible at this point to go in there with one person at the light level that we're at and beat it. So, that to me says that it's not really that spongy. It will be interesting to see with different burns and different things on it as far as how to do that strike, because there's not very many places to run. As far as weapons go, I'm enjoying the way that they have changed how weapons work in Destiny 2. I know that a lot of people are very, very concerned to the point that they're moaning about it. And I think that it's ridiculous at this point for people to say, oh, well, look, it's like this. We've got what? 9 primaries, maybe, and then maybe the same with energy weapons, and was it like 6 power weapons that we've got a choice through? That's not a really big number that you're talking about. So for people to be really moaning about how the weapons are working, I think it's kind of stupid. I do like the way that they are using basically primaries in 2 slots, because you can use a short range weapon and a long range weapon, or a hard hitting weapon and basically a piece of crap little machine gun spray just to scare people because it's not going to do any damage. We'll talk about that later. But it does. Even though I disagree with how people are talking about in the community that everything is kind of going to PvP orientated, that kind of is doing that, because that doesn't really help you in a PvE world. But at the same time, I don't think it's that bad having power weapons, the fusion rifles, the snipers, everything all grouped up together, because all that stuff was way too overpowered and overused in Destiny 1. So far, not too bad.
I mean, especially in PvP, it was overused. I mean, in my opinion, for me, it was like a nightmare scenario because coming from that background of Halo, and I talked about this before, and I didn't have any idea how they were going to do this, but one person got the sniper rifle, and then that one person was dangerous. And if that person was on the other team, you were still pretty screwed. Like, it's not like this. It's not like all of a sudden here's, 6 snipers on the other team. Right. Like this balances that so well. We'll talk about that in a minute.
But they do have to. One last thing is they definitely do have to do something of the drop rate in PvE situations for the power ammo, because it's very, very scarce. I don't know what the numbers are, but to me it seems really scarce.
They already mentioned that they have touched on it and will be touching on it.
Right.
Yeah. But again, it's important that you say it out loud so that the cacophony is just, I mean, that's just your experience, and that's just my experience. And I feel like if I had twice as much ammo as I had, it would probably be right about where it should be. Like, I feel like I should be able to switch to it, at each. I feel like there's like little mini bosses, like here's a section of map where you kill, 6 to 12 different people, and then here's this mini boss, but like it takes 3 minutes to go, from this area to this area. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I can't wait to see what they end up doing with it. It sucks that the beta build necessitates it being so far behind what it actually is, and that the idea that changing how much loot, how much heavy ammo, power ammo drops is such a big deal that they can't just change that on the fly. Because imagine how much feedback is being wasted, like right now, on something that they've already tweaked. So, but we got to give it to them. They asked for it. We got to give it to them. Agrios, what is your take on this strike and the weapons, the weapon loadouts and things like this?
I enjoyed the strike. I don't have any complaints about that. I think it was an interesting choice for the strike, considering, like, I kept myself spoiler free until I ran it in the beta and whatnot. So I had no idea what would be going on. I had no idea about the voice parts that we would be hearing. And I find it an interesting choice for the beta, being where it must fall in the timeline, in the storyline. Now, obviously, they had to pick a strike, though, that would be after we get our powers back. But I almost feel like they maybe should just cut all the dialogue out of it like that. Like, I don't know. Like, who are these people talking to us and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like, they weren't introduced to us at all. I found that a little off.
Right, like failsafe. I feel
Don't
like
you think some of that comes from being an out of context strike in an out of context game beta?
Yeah, but that's why I feel like maybe they should have just taken the dialogue out of it until it was in context and just let the beta be a gameplay test.
Right, I feel like there was at least one run through of that strike where I heard zero information from failsafe. I mean, I might have just had the sound turned down too far, but I feel like there was multiple times where I ran through it where I didn't hear anything from this person, and when I did, I was like, "What in the hell is this?" And at some point, the failsafe was described to me as a golden age AI. I think that's what was called. But I mean, what's with the attitude? What's with the attitude one? What's with the happy one? Like, this is all questions they knew they had to be getting. Do you guys have more information than what I just said about failsafe?
Nope.
See, that's crazy, right? Like,
I mean, other than that appears to be its home planet at the time.
And then they call the main character Captain, right? Like, is this the ship AI? I don't know.
But I mean, there were definitely lines that referred to as, like, what kind of violent things have you lured to my planet?
Interesting.
So
very interesting.
I was kind of thinking, well, you said there were the two voices. They were both failsafe's voices?
I think so, yeah. Like failsafe.
I thought it was failsafe's dad. But the other was something that came with you.
Interesting. Maybe it is.
No, I misunderstood that.
Maybe I misunderstood it, but I thought it was the same.
Disagree with you, Remy.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, Sharks?
It was the same thing both times, yeah.
Interesting. So I've just got nothing but questions there.
Moving on to the gun balance.
Good. That's good. You have nothing but questions. and no, it is, and I'll elaborate more on that later.
Okay, excellent. Agrios.
So the guns, I love the guns loadout for PvP. I love what they've done with that for that mode of the game and everything like that. I don't like it for PvE so far. I mean, I like having the two primaries to choose from. I almost wish that you just have a pool of primaries and you could assign them to either the kinetic or elemental ammo slot.
It is my assertion that they will be. I feel like that you will be able to choose, because I saw ones that looked exactly the same, guns that looked exactly the same on both, and it says, this is currently applied, like you have this mod currently applied, and it was like.
So you've been using the mods, but.
Yeah, I'm thinking that that's what it's going to be. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for you not to be able to assign whichever one you want, especially if you're able to select a different one. This is my assumption. If you're able to select a different burn for these guns that you already have, then you should be able to turn it off altogether. I mean,
I knew you could select a different burn. I hadn't seen anything relating to making it kinetic only or changing it from kinetic to elemental.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll be able to, because there's no slot on the kinetic guns.
Well, but there's no not
kinetic.
Slot.
Yeah, but what I mean is you can't turn a kinetic gun into an energy weapon.
I mean, we don't know that.
There's no mod slot on him right now to do that. That's what he's saying, though.
Yeah,
totally. I just feel like this would just be another missed opportunity.
I don't like having to choose between my shotguns and snipers and things that go boom. I include fusion rifles with the things that go boom. I'm willing to share, sleeper simulant style, my fusions, my grenade launchers, my rocket launchers. But I really, really don't like my snipers and shotguns being a choice between those two. It doesn't even make sense logistically.
Can you elaborate? Because I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
I mean, like, if I have a shotgun or sniper equipped, I can't have something that goes boom equipped, like a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher, or a fusion rifle. Like I said, I was including the fusion rifles with the things that go boom. I feel those are appropriate heavies. I don't feel like it even makes sense for a sniper or a shotgun to, like, use the same ammo source as those other things. And they're used completely different tactically in the game. So I don't like not being able to say, use a shotgun and my rocket launcher, grenade launcher, or whatever heavy. I don't need a shotgun to be that heavy. I like its use more tactically in PvE. And I'm really going to miss that. I'm really going to miss... I'm going to feel like I'm shooting things with my primaries all the time. I mean, granted, they're going to jack up the power ammo, but that's just the power ammo on whatever gun I want to equip. I'm going to have to pause, go in and switch to my shotgun. If I want a shotgun, then things, I'm going to want to use my rocket. To go in, switch to my rocket, then get the power ammo to do that. That's a pain in the ass to me and ruins my fun.
I feel like what we're looking at here is the best option for a no-win scenario, because I feel like it's brilliant to add shotguns and snipers, which can be and often are one-hit kill weapons. It makes a lot of sense to put them in with these power ammo as far as trying to slow down time to kill in PvP. Like, I feel like as far as
absolutely
as that's concerned, it makes a ton of sense. And I feel like this is only as much of a problem as it is, and the way you're describing it makes me miss it more, because you're totally right. I feel like this is a one-size-fits-all problem for something that's not really a one-size-fit-all problem. But, as far as I feel...
What I would really like to see is I would just like to see them, like they already mentioned in the update, that they are going to tune PvE and PvP a little bit differently, because they referred to increasing the damage to non-player characters. Yeah. So I would really like to see in PvE, simply you can equip your shotguns and snipers into your elemental slot and not run an elemental primary. Like, it's your option to do that. And in PvP, you equip them to the power ammo slot.
I feel like I feel like it's almost not as big of a deal in PvP as it is in PvE. I feel like when you go into like a boss encounter, the idea of putting, a medium amount of hurt on the boss, like you have your primary, and this was for like smaller enemies, and, tactical placement, drawing the enemy's attention or keeping the shield down or whatever. This makes a lot of sense, but not going right into rockets, not going right into heavy machine gun. Here is this middle ground where, very specific targeting, it goes a long way. Like sniping, a boss in the crit. Like it's a very important tactic.
Okay. Think about this though. Okay, I understand I understand why people are upset because they played Destiny 1 for 3 years, and that's how it was in Destiny 1.
Nah.
But that is exactly the case. Don't sit here and
that's
say
not why they're upset.
Okay, no, it is why they're upset, because if they never saw that, they wouldn't be upset. Okay, so let's think about reality. In reality, you would have a sniper and he would have some handguns. Okay? In the real world, you would have a guy with a heavy machine gun and maybe a handgun. Okay, you wouldn't have a guy walking around with a Gatling gun and a shotgun and a sniper.
Where's this guy gonna hold the dark staff?
We're talking about a guy with 2 scout rifles and a grenade launcher?
Huh?
But instead we're talking about a guy with 2 scout rifles and a grenade launcher?
This is my whole point, though. The scout rifles are supposed to be like handguns, okay? You would walk around with a handgun, but you wouldn't walk around with... You don't see a sniper in the real world walking around with a sniper and a bazooka, because they don't do that, because those are power weapons, okay? It's not that big a deal. Yeah, it's gonna change the way you are playing things like raids and strikes, but that's kind of the whole point of what Bungie's doing, especially with locked loadouts. You're going to go in there and only one person's going to be able to equip that sniper. Only one person's going to be able to equip that rocket launcher. You know, I don't get why everybody is so up in arms with it. Yeah, it was fun to switch to a sniper real quick and then pull out my Gallahorn and blow stuff away, and then just go back to my Zalo or whatever kind of guns it is that you're running, and it's but that we were so overpowered in Destiny 1. And now people are coming and seeing this, okay, well, now you got to go in and you actually have to play tactically, because that's what you're going to have to do if you only have one power slot and then some primaries.
I disagree. It removes tactics, because instead of having a sniper and a shotgun and a power weapon that are all very tactically used, and then just one primary to ping away at, now you just have 2 primaries that you're going to be thumping away at, and every once in a while get some power ammo to send off a little pop, boom, and then you're pinking away with your primaries.
I think that the problem here is that I feel like a certain amount of fun has been taken away. Like, not only effectiveness has been taken away, but fun has been taken away, because like you were describing, I'm on my primary, I switch to my sniper rifle and I pick off a few, and then I go to my Yellowhorn, and all of this is power, all of this is damage, all of this is what you need in order to face the threats that are in Destiny 1. I feel like in Destiny 2 we're going to have even bigger threats, and I feel like the tools they're giving us right now, the tools that I've been using the last 2 or 3 days, however long it's been on, are not enough. Like it's not only is it not enough to effectively kill bad guys and higher level bad guys, but it's not as much fun, especially because what we're looking at here is not only have we had fusion rifles and sniper rifles and shotguns effectively taken away and pushed into this other category with other fun things like rocket launchers and heavy machine guns, but the drop rate of the heavy of the power ammo is so small that I don't know. There's sometimes when I don't even use my power slot because I forget it's there, because it's so few and far between. I mean, this goes right into also the abilities, the ability cooldowns being a mess, an absolute mess. Let's talk about that next. But I want to go to Gray right now. Gray, I'm curious to know your thoughts on the strike and also the the weapon balancing overall. Do you like this new economy with 2 primaries, one of them having an elemental, and then these other weapons being shoved into this power category?
Yeah, I'll touch on that first. I like having the flexibility and the options. So I'm a big fan actually of this new system. part of me, especially because I use Universal Remote so much to, the bane of the rest of you guys, the fact that I'm actually not going to be able to use my shotgun very much in Crucible without, being able to get that power ammo is one thing, is probably the only drawback, is I feel like I'm really not going to be able to use that. But with that said, I really like the flexibility of having, say, an auto rifle and a scout, because a lot of times I'm trying to figure out for which encounter I want to use. And during this beta, there's lots of times that I'm like, my range and my skill and the things I'm comfortable with, when I'm far back at market, watching them come from their spawn, I can load into my scout, and then as they get closer, I can switch to that auto rifle. So I like having that flexibility. So I don't mind it. I mean, maybe I'll have a different feeling once we get the full scope of all the weapons and a meta really develops and we see what's rising to the top, and whether or not this is providing more options or less options. That's going to be the biggest thing. I hope with all these changes, it gives us more options within the meta, and it's not just a few loadouts that are kind of rising to the top. As far as the strike goes, initial impressions, I did not know about this Vex Milk waterfall. So I was probably just as excited as our ghost for the Vex Milk waterfall and just as disappointed when we just kind of went by it. Yeah, it was, the strike was huge. That was the thing that probably stood out to me the most, was how big the environment was. A lot of people think that it might also play into a patrol zone. Obviously, if the lost sectors stem off of it, then it's probably part of a patrol zone. But it's just, if that's only the strike and it's not connected to a patrol zone, it's a massive environment, a massive area. I thought the enemies looked fantastic. The way that they interacted with you engaged in the battle, they seemed like they were smarter than in Destiny 1. More varied in their attacks and their movement. Anytime that I kind of went up against a Colossus, I was impressed with how it tried to engage versus how I was engaging. It wasn't just kind of the repetitive same thing over and over and over again that I was used to. It took a little bit more strategy to actually take down that encounter without, feeling like I was losing more health than I was comfortable with. It was a good first impression. I think the environment itself, and I might be the minority, this is going to be the only salt I throw on it, I actually found it kind of bland. I was not that pleased with Nessus compared to Homecoming in the Tower in terms of how rich the environment felt and looked.
Interesting. Yeah, I really feel you on the weapons. I really love being able to go in with what is essentially two primaries. The biggest problem I'm having with the weapons is, for a while I was running shotgun because I only had a shotgun and a grenade launcher, and I felt more confident with the shotgun than I did with the grenade launcher. And so I kept trying to switch to the shotgun, which is just, until D2 has been just one press of the button switch, and that puts me onto another primary. And then, so I'll press the button again because clearly I've got the shotgun on the other one, and that's not the same thing. And then I'll go to the heavy. And so kind of switching between those is all given me a little bit of a hiccup in my gameplay. But yeah, really, I cannot say how much I love the combinations. I really feel like the game has hit a new excellence with these combinations, because you're just able to do so much more with your average everyday fight. Instead of this is no longer focused on huge battles. This is focused on kind of a closer ground game, in my opinion. Like being able to carry a hand cannon and an auto rifle, that's a certain fight. Scout rifle and a pulse rifle, that's a certain fight. And I'm really looking forward to finding kind of my go-to couple of different loadouts. Because I've already started seeing the patterns that I'm going to for certain situations. And yeah, the strike itself was really beautiful. Those giant blades going around was really crazy. If those who don't know, you can just walk right along the top, basically. I've seen so many people go down into that grinder and then just get eaten alive. And so you can there's actually just a little path that you go to, and as long as you keep trying to jump up higher than you can, you'll be just fine. I've dragged a bunch of people through that situation. Jez, did you have a chance to talk about this?
No, technically
Yes.
I did.
No, technically you did.
Because I was the only one that's played the strike before.
That's right.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Excellent. Well, then let's move on.
Wait. First, you didn't ask Jez about the weapons also, Jez. What are your thoughts on weapons?
I like the new weapon system in a way because I think the switch from I want a short engagement weapon and a long engagement weapon in D1 is way too extreme. Whereas you can have more mid to short range and a long to mid range weapon rather than having this huge gap between a sniper and a hand cannon or something like that.
I agree.
Now, what is everybody's thoughts on how the weapons feel as far as their damage that they're doing and meta? I want to hear what you guys say before I make my comments.
Okay, hold on 1 second before I comment on that, Agrios. I want to say that I think that your the feeling that you're experiencing, I feel like it will be alleviated once there is some kind of heavy ammo, like a greater amount of heavy ammo. Like I feel like if you're forced to choose one of these power weapons, I feel like if you were you have to choose one. You can't just choose nothing. You can't just hold your head down and feel sorry for yourself and not carry a power weapon. I feel like once you're able to use the power weapon more often, you might not feel as distraught over this, or at least that's what I'm.
Because I'm never going to use a sniper or a shotgun.
Well, but that's fine. I feel like that's fine.
That's not fine. I like using snipers and shotguns tactically, but I'm never going to use one in the current system.
Well,
why not?
Okay, but hold on.
Because once I have a good fusion, grenade launcher, or rocket launcher, they're all going to be much more worth using my power ammo on.
See, I thought the same thing, except for in this current meta, I'm finding myself leaning towards sniper rifle, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the idea of using my power ammo in a way.
And then I get nothing that goes boom.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Sunshot.
Sunshot is fantastic. Sunshot
that
is
goes
a lot of
boom.
fun. I'm afraid that what we're seeing here, because I'm glad that you brought this up, Sharks, because I absolutely am in love with basically every gun that is in the demo, like the whatever auto rifle that the Hunter and the Titan start out with. They are fantastic. I love the way they sound. I love the way they feel.
Is that Scathelock? I think that's
Scathelock is the one.
I prefer the other auto rifle, actually, the elemental auto rifle.
Which one is that? The one that the Titan has?
The fire one.
It's like Death. It's like
Death Adder.
No, not Death Adder. Something like that, though. But whatever it is fantastic. I know which one you're talking about because I love it. I love it. And
it's
really,
Deathstalker -4AU.
Yes, Deathstalker. That weapon is fantastic, and I love the way it sounds, and I love the way it handles. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have another vault problem right off the bat. Like I'm gonna get a Deathstalker, and I'm not gonna want to get rid of it because it sounds great, because it feels great. I feel like that one specifically puts a real big hurt on a lot of the bad guys, in specifically the strike, because many of those Cabal have solar shields, and it takes them down really quick. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. It's amazing.
I found the shields to be super chump.
What do you mean?
Like the shields, the things that had shields were too weak to almost even consider having to run an element to take them down.
I did actually notice that on a couple of bad guys, but for some reason the void shields on the big Vex, I had a hard time even with that Deathstalker. So I don't know. Maybe that was not added on purpose. So Agrios, what do you think? What do you make of the guns, the way they look and feel and sound?
I like the way they look and feel and sound. I don't have
Do you have
problem with
a favorite?
Nah.
I want them all. They're all my favorite.
I was nowhere near the same level of love with them that you are. I had no problems with them. I enjoyed them. I hope, being that they took everything but the primary weapons out of the main 2 slots that we're going to be using all our weapons from, that they give us a larger variety in those weapon types. Like, see, that's the thing I don't get. Like, in order to make it enjoyable, they're going to have to push, like, the high-impact scouts up to almost being snipers anyway. So why not just reduce the effectiveness of snipers and leave them in the pool? Well, make them just not one shot. Yeah, I don't know. It just
those high-impact snipers are not one-shot kills. I mean, the scouts.
I don't want them to be one-shot kills. I'm just saying.
The reason that doesn't work is because then you're dealing with sniper levels of ammo, and if you have ever played with any of the low-impact snipers, they are not that great to play with that ammo count. So why not just make it a scout?
Interesting.
I guess.
Gray, what about you? Did you come upon any favorite weapons? What do you make of them? What do you make of their damage? What do you make of the entire pool?
Yeah, I don't have any favorites. Potentially, is it? I'm blanking on it now. Sunshot? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Sunshot. So fantastic.
It did feel good. More probably in PvP, or sorry, in PvE than in PvP. I just have this weird feeling in PvP where, like, my guns aren't doing damage fast enough, but the opponent's guns seem to be doing damage plenty fast enough.
Yes.
But I know that's just me engaging in bad encounters and getting team shot when I'm solo in most situations. No, I mean, I think we've got a small pool and they feel okay. They sound fantastic. I'll give you that. Like the audio mix on the guns, 10 out of 10. How the guns actually feel and perform, probably give them like a 6 out of 10. And I'm giving room there, hoping that we get legendaries that have better stability and just better perks and different roles and different things that we're going to do with them that make them feel more solid. But maybe it's my gun skill that I'm not landing as many precision shots as I need to be landing. I totally gave up on the sniper because a body shot felt like it did hardly anything, and I wasn't good enough on the trigger to get the precision shots, so I was wasting the opportunity on those power ammos. I switched pretty early on to shotgun and was enjoying that. That felt pretty good. Still have to have pretty close range, which is fair enough. Yeah, and the only other thing that I'd add about the guns, they're very effective. This is more probably a comment on the whole super situation right now than anything else, but you get a couple players shooting somebody who's in their super, and it's not that hard to take somebody down out of their super. So the guns felt very effective against Guardians using their space magic.
That's if you get to your super in PvP, and we'll get to that in a minute. You know what? Especially going from D1 auto rifles to D2 auto rifles, D1 auto rifles always sounded really weak to me. There was always like a pew 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 pew, and these ones feel like they're really rattling off some ammo. Like I really feel like I'm putting a hurting on the other thing. Jez, what do you make of this pool of guns? Did you have a favorite?
I mean, obviously I like Sunshot.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I kind of had a problem because I had to choose between Sunshot and the Black Scorpion Scout Rifle. That's the auto Scout Rifle.
Yes, I love it.
And so I was kind of sad that I had to have to choose between those two. But I did use the Showrunner submachine gun a lot for my kinetic weapon, and I felt like that was really nice, better than the auto rifle. So
that's interesting.
which is the skate lock that you love.
Yeah.
Sharks, you didn't like submachine guns, did you?
Wait. Sharks, what do you make about this pool of weapons? Did you have any that you enjoyed, and what do you feel about them overall?
Okay, so I really like what they have done with weapons, and this all comes back to Destiny 1. The last update, they really did a good job at really picking ranges and fall off for those guns in that meta, and they have brought that over to Destiny 2 and really stuck it in there. The very first day, I went in and I was like, okay, well, let's try submachine gun. And part of this excitement that I had was because it was the only thing that Meshleshan could talk about was this stupid submachine gun. I was like, okay, well, they must like completely wreck face. And I was using them, and I was not killing people. I was not doing damage to people, and I was dying. And I was like, you know what? These are garbage. And I kind of put them away, and I was going through and I was testing other things. And then it really dawned on me, well, it's all based off of range, right? So I went back and I tried again. And the submachine gun is literally, it's a close quarters, shoot you in the face, and you're going to die as fast as you possibly can. Just make sure you don't get shot at. Also, hopefully they have longer engagement weapons, and you're going to take them out first. So I really like the way the meta is for the guns. Every single gun has its range. Every single gun has its engagement potential. I personally like running the heavy scouts, and then either a pulse rifle or an auto rifle. I have tried today. I was messing around a little bit more with hand cannons, but again, those are super close. So if you're going to be using a hand cannon, you want a fast, loaded up into their face gun for those encounters that those one shots aren't really going to do it. So it's not too smart to run a hand cannon and a scout. But I like it. The only gun I do not like, and this is for PvP purposes, that's the grenade launcher. It is garbage, absolute garbage in PvP. Not to say that you can't kill people. I killed an entire team with one round, but I mean, almost every other time I'm shooting them, and they're going off way past the people, and they're sitting there shooting me back.
It is good for one thing, I found, and that's crowd control. Like when you have a bomb that you're trying to protect, if the team's trying to move in on it, and you just keep lobbing boosh. They take that damage and run.
But the thing is you're talking about power ammo, and that's you're not supposed to be using power ammo for crowd control. I understand what you're saying, but I mean for what I'm using it for, like if I pick up power ammo, I want to use that, go in there and shoot you in the face. With Gray and his universal remote, go and grab that shotgun, run in there as fast as you can and shoot them. I love the way the fusion rifles are. I do have a feeling that they may get a little bit of a nerf before the actual game.
Be Destiny otherwise, right?
Yeah, before the actual game is released. I doubt very much Jelly is going to get his buff that he wants. No, I know he's just joking. But no, I think it's really cool. I love the way they are, and I think that anybody that is really down on the weapons and the way that the weapons are in Destiny's beta right now, you are thinking in very small terms. First off, we are going to have tons and tons and tons of guns at release of Destiny 2 to pick from. There's a lot of perks already anyways, and every single gun has its own type of player. I like the one type of gun. Somebody else might like the close quarters guns. So that's That's what I have to say to that. But grenade launchers are garbage in PvP. That's the only thing I can say bad.
Grenade launchers are also trash in PvE. I can't seem to hit anything with them. And you know what? This is not the first grenade launcher that Bungie has put into a game. There's also one in Halo Reach, and I couldn't use that one either.
I don't know if I recorded the clip. I've been recording almost every clip just for all kinds of different reasons. But earlier I did a strike, and because I was doing it on my Titan, and I only had either the shotgun or the grenade launcher. So I'm not going to go in against the big boss with a shotgun. I mean, I guess you could, but I wasn't going to. So I used a grenade launcher. I shot it. It bounced in between his legs, and I saw it go off into the netherverse. I was like, I was just swearing left, right, and center.
Oh man, that happened to me as well on that strike boss. I shot one and it went right between his legs and just right into the Vex Milk. That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. I really hope that the issues that you're seeing get ironed out, Agrios, mostly because as much as I'm able to hold on to like what I enjoy about a game or what I like, regardless of what other people think, there is still a portion of me that feels exactly the same way that you do. It doesn't make sense for them to have split up the weapons as they are now. But for the most part, probably 85% of me is just completely thrilled with the lineup. And it makes sense. Like, that's why I was saying this is like a one-size-fits-all solution, is because for the most part, for the majority of the population, this is going to be just fine. And so I'm hoping that you find a way to enjoy this new meta, because Agrios waved. Because as long as you're being bothered by it, I'm not going to be able to quiet that little piece of me that totally agrees with you. Because I mean, you're right. For the longest time, I didn't use a sniper rifle or a shotgun or even really a fusion rifle, but I kept it on fusion rifle because I feel like it was really very simple for me to kind of just pick a direction and put shots in that direction. Like, I could peek out from behind a barrel and I could reliably shoot seven of these projectiles towards an enemy, and I knew it was going to do a pretty good amount of damage. But as far as shotguns were concerned, I was never going to use them. You had to get too close. And sniper rifles, I feel like it zooming in disorients me quite a bit. And I don't have the drag and shoot play that's in the game. I've used it before and it's fantastic and it feels great, but I'm just not there. But D2, like I was saying, using the sniper rifle was very rewarding to me, because I feel like I was on top of those hits, and I mean, it really didn't do a whole lot of damage against the strike boss. Like, it said like 600 points, and that's like 6 shells from an auto rifle. So I don't know. I feel like there definitely needs to be some tweaking, but I'm curious to know how your opinion on it evolves as time goes on, Agrios. Okay,
if
so
sniper rifles are going to be power ammo, they better one-shot body shot everything up to a yellow.
You know what? I can get on board with that. You just obviously won't get the headshot points and animation. Really, you're totally right. I like that a lot. I did also use the inline fusion rifle, and that was a lot of fun too. But again, it felt underpowered. It felt very underpowered. Okay, so anything more on specifically this before we move on? Excellent. Okay, so moving into PvP and also the abilities, the ability debacle. I feel like sometimes Bungie makes too small of a change where it doesn't really make anything different, and then they make overcorrections that are colossal. And I feel like what they've done with the ability recharges, specifically supers and specifically grenades, I feel like it's way too slow. And I understand that there's a problem with people getting their grenades every 25 seconds. Maybe that's too much. But moving grenades back universally to 1 minute and 23 seconds between every grenade is overkill. Like, I feel like this is overkill. I feel like there's got to be somewhere in between these 2 points that makes more sense. And the same thing with supers. When you are kitted out for intellect, for max intellect, your super comes back at 3 minutes and 40 seconds in Destiny. That's not doing anything like killing bad guys to speed up that process. 3 minutes and 40 seconds just standing there. I timed it in Destiny 2, and it took 7 minutes and 30 seconds for me to get my super back just standing there. And that's not to mention, I played a game in PvP where I wasn't even close to getting my super by the end of the match. Like, this is how badly my team was getting stomped on, was that the other team got their supers at some point.
I had the flip happen that we beat them so fast that we didn't get our supers.
Yeah, and you know what? That makes a little bit more sense, but I feel like giving only supers to the people who are already doing so good, this is a mistake. This is a huge mistake, and it needs to be addressed. I don't think that they've made the right choices here. Like, I agree. I get and am very supportive of increasing TTK. I get and I'm very supportive of increasing the amount of time that it takes to get these, because ability spam is a problem. But this is not the right amount of times. Like, Gray, what do you make of this new ability meta? And you know what? Additionally, I feel like my class ability was coming back too quick. Like, after I'd throw down a shield, and before I knew it, the very next time I looked down there, it was already halfway done to being another shield. And I realized that this is also the dodge mechanic for the hunter, and that kind of is a weird, like, it doesn't really track in my mind. I do understand that they're class specific, but I don't know. Gray, what do you make of this new abilities cooldown?
Yeah, so I've only played a little bit on my Titan and a Hunter. I haven't done the Warlock yet. Even though that Rift, I think, is fantastic. There's been many times that I've been standing in the Rift and surviving that team shot because that Warlock Rift is providing health support to me. Yeah, I think that for a beta, trying to get a feel for the game, I mean, granted, I know Bungie's working on netcode and looking at how the game is operating, but for us, from an experience, yeah, give us our supers. Let us check these things out. And getting to do it once a game is not enough. Certainly, as you think about it being the competitive playlist or the casual playlist, and if this is what it's going to be, you're going to get one super in a round, maybe. It doesn't sit well because, for one, the supers are not overpowered right now. You can get shut out of your super pretty easily by a capable team. So while they can start to change the momentum of a match, they don't guarantee that it's going to change the momentum or continue to have a winning team just hammer down on the opposing team when those supers come live. So yeah, I think that just for testing purposes, I wish that they would have turned that up, turn the cooldown timer down, really. Give us our supers more often so we could play around with them a little bit more and see how they feel. With that said, I have been known to pop my pole dance at the end of the fourth round, let's say, winning the fifth round in the competitive playlist, thinking that it was all over. And then we went on to lose 4 in a row and give the match to the other team. That was Mark Square's favorite moment, was me wasting my pole dance at the end of a round because I thought it was over. So it's provided some good opportunities, some good laughs.
That's funny. Interesting. So do you think for the beta they should have sped it up, or just in general they should?
I think they need to for both, certainly. Yeah, I think they need to for both. I think that's a lot of feedback I've heard. I feel it too, where man, my super still hasn't charged yet. Man, how long is this thing going to take? But even for the beta, I'd say I would have rather them hedge on the side of not like mayhem, right? Don't give us crazy mayhem sort of supers, but have us feel like, okay, we're getting our supers maybe a little bit too fast. They could slow this down. I'd rather them have hedged on that side of the equation than where they are right now.
Right, because we're talking about having it, or we're talking about doubling the amount of time just right off the bat of how long it takes for you to get into your super. And I feel like that's like you're totally right. Let us check out these supers. That makes a lot more sense. But I mean, even if they pushed it back 2 minutes instead of an additional 5 minutes, like this is crazy. And I feel like it's disconnecting me, and my friend Pig Jockey. We were playing the strike, and he's like, man, how long does it take to get a grenade around here? And it's just too long. It's just too long. There needs to be, I don't know. Agrios, what is your take on this ability cooldown?
One thing I think could help with the situation is I kind of feel like if they're going to make the grenades draw out that long, they should set them up like everybody should have them like the Titan has them in their ability tree, where if you have a full grenade, you still have one charging in the background.
Interesting.
So that way, if you are, looking for that good opportunity to use that grenade, you're not wasting that charging time as well. So I really think that if they're going to pull it back, they should really have just given all the classes that ability right off the bat to have 2 grenades just static no matter what you have set, basically. So that way, one will be charging. The abilities, I haven't played the Hunter yet. So there's a lot of disdain for the Hunter. I played the Hunter at E3, but I have not spent time on the Hunter yet. I'm quite happy with the Warlock Rift and the Titan Shield. I love the short Titan Shield that reloads your gun for you.
Yes.
That is just beast in Crucible. I've just decimated tons of people. I had an amazing moment the other day. I was playing with Sharks. I dropped the 3 remaining members as the last Guardian standing, defending the bomb, using primarily Sweet Business and that low Titan Shield. I just stationed up back in the corner of the market side, and as the team poured on over from that, one guy had heavy and a sniper, and was trying to pop my headshot as I popped up over my shield, spraying them down. And I managed to, because if you're taking hits, you can't disarm that bomb, even if you're trying to use, so as long as I kept spraying everybody down, they couldn't disarm the bomb. And I eventually killed 2 of them and had the third one almost dead when he put the last shot into me, and he couldn't make it to the bomb to disarm it in time. So if you strategically use that shield, it is immensely powerful. And the Rift can be nearly as effective, but people think they're just going to take you down behind that low shield. They think that they can tank you somehow, and it's maybe deceiving as part of its strength.
Yeah, I can see that.
They can see you, and they want to keep shooting you.
Right. I feel like a team with a strategic rift / shield. I feel like you could really make a person's day miserable.
Well, as a warlock, I tried to always drop my rift in a shield if I saw it.
That's cool. That's really cool.
What about all the strategicness that you can have with the Hunter ability and the other classes' abilities?
Okay, wait. We can't get there yet. Agrios, what did you make of the super cooldown? Good for you?
It's too long. I think that too long. And why are you buffing the people who are already being strong to be stronger and keep stomping? Like, that's not going to help balance matches and things like that. If your team gets behind slightly because of a fluke in the beginning, it's all that much harder to come back and even it out. I think that if they are going to make it to anywhere near this point, to the point where people who didn't do poorly but didn't do exceptional just aren't even going to get a super potentially if the match goes quickly, that once again they're stepping away from fun for the sake of well, we don't want to risk anything going wrong, so we'll just reduce the instances it could go wrong. I think if they were wanted to step it back, maybe just go to a set timer that only runs while you're alive, so it staggers the supers a little bit, and everybody gets one in the middle.
I don't mind
that. Or the old way was fine. Is the two ways I look at it.
What if they used it as a catch-up mechanic, that it's charged faster the further you were behind?
Oh, I kind of like that.
I wouldn't mind that, but I could understand a lot of people not liking it.
No, I know. No one loves rubber banding.
I wouldn't mind it.
I feel like
I like close matches.
I feel like once they took away your ability to modify that amount of time in any way, that it was really up to them to pick a good time. And, because we no longer have the modifiers for intellect, discipline, or strength, why not pick a good time? Like, what is a good time? Well, it's not 7.5 minutes. That's not a good time. You can
still pick up orbs to accelerate. Like, if your team uses your supers smartly, so that the orbs are available to the other living team members, you can already strategically accelerate your super growth.
Yeah, but
I don't
the problem
think they need
is
to also have kills buffing up your supers.
No one else has supers to get those orbs out there.
Right, it's a very slow climb. Even when you're in full on assaulting the enemy mode, it still is only just the slightest bit increment faster. Sharks, I want your opinion on all of this, the grenades, the supers. Tell me what you're thinking.
Okay, I said at the beginning, I wanted to talk about everybody moaning and how I am sick to death of listening to everybody moan about this. Okay,
that's amazing, because that's what we hear from you most often.
Shark's the biggest complainer I know, and his complaint is everybody complaining. That's the funniest thing I've heard all day.
Okay, so okay, I understand that people are going into these matches, or they're going into the strike, and they're saying, oh my goodness, it's taking so long to get my grenade, or it's taking so long to get my super, or it's taking so long to get my punch, or it's not so long to get your class ability, because that is absolutely ridiculously fast. But the reason part of the reason I see people are complaining so much, it's not the only reason, but part of the reason is because of something that Bungie themselves did. Okay, this is actually all Bungie's fault, completely Bungie's fault. Months and months and months and months ago, about 6 months ago, in fact, it's when they decided to do all this mayhem bullshit in Destiny 1. Okay, the thing that I hated. Okay, I absolutely hated mayhem. Why did I hate mayhem? Because your supers and your grenades and everything would recharge so fast. All it was spam. Then to top it off, we had tier 12. You have a tier 12 build, so that means that you can have, everything almost completely maxed out. So everything is regenning super, super fast, way faster than it was during vanilla Destiny. Now, mind you, I understand that the recharge, I'll take you at your word that the recharge numbers are a lot longer than what they are in Destiny 2. And maybe they shouldn't be that long, but it's really not that bad to not have 3 supers around a game. I have had 2. Okay, it is possible to have 2. Go in there and shoot people. It's supposed to be a shooting game. It's supposed to be that, as Agrios keeps putting it with his power ammo, he wants that bang. That's what your super is. It's a bang. If you go and play Call of Duty, you had to get a whole bunch of kills to get that, that nuke call in or whatever it was that you wanted. That's what this is. That's what your super is.
But I don't play Call of Duty.
Huh?
Yeah, but I don't play Call of Duty for a reason.
Well, that's not the point, though. The point is that in almost every other first-person shooter game, you don't sit there and you have spam of this super all the time, okay? Yeah, I understand that you guys got used to it for 6 months playing it, and you miss playing like that. But stop complaining about it. Yeah, it's really not that bad. Go and shoot people. Okay, that's what the Crucible's for. It's not about going in there and using a super every 5 seconds.
Okay.
In old Destiny 1, I only ever usually got my super once per round, sometimes twice per round. Sometimes I get it a second time by the end of the round. Now under the new system,
But that goes back
I maybe get it once right at the end, and it's a mad rush of people using their supers right at the end of the match.
Okay, but no, so I agree to a point that the number is a little bit long as far as a lot of the times it is at the end of matches, like in Control. But you know, I don't think that they should half it. You know,
here's the thing. I think that what the problem is looking us right in the face, that this is an across the board hacking of fun. Right off the top, like Agrios is not having fun because he's not having that bang. They've taken away this medium ground power weapons. They've taken away even the drops of heavy. In addition, it takes forever to get our grenades back. It takes forever to get our supers back. Like, and Sharks, you could very well be right with your assessment that Mayhem, played its part into this. But I feel like even as, like, I played a lot. Oh, by the way, I hit rank 5 on Iron Banner this last time on both systems. Really happy about that. Very excited. And I'm glad that it was Mayhem, because I feel like that's what kept people coming back, because there was just, here's your super, here's your super, here's your super. Like there is a certain amount of fun to that. But I don't feel like that's what I'm looking for while I'm playing Destiny 2. I just feel like across the board, they've reduced our power, our ability to affect the world that we're in when we're playing this game now. And I feel like that's reduced the amount of fun across the board, like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over here. And that equals not as much fun.
You guys, this is the thing that people aren't taking into consideration. Okay, the beta is a big stress test for Bungie, but the beta also is for Bungie to listen to people's gripes and tweak it a little bit. Okay, so you know that they're going to probably tweak it because everybody is so up in arms. But I doubt very much, and I hope that they don't go and make it so opposite of what everybody wants. Like what Gray said, he was the first one that said this. Oh, it would have been neat to see it really cranked up so that you could play with the supers and play with the grenades. And I get that. I totally get that. In fact, that's why I spent so long each time in the homecoming mission, just so I could get all that and just play with supers. But that's not the same thing as in PvP, right? But at the same time, I don't want to see them crank it up that much, and they won't. They've been play testing this for months and months and months and months, and it's pretty close to what they like, and they want to make you, the consumer, happy. So I'm sure they're going to up it a little bit. But if you guys are really looking for just a big, huge super fest and a big grenade fest, which everybody was complaining about, what Bungie's probably sitting there thinking is, well, go and play Destiny 1 because that's where that game is.
You know what it feels like?
I was perfectly happy with the super and grenade raid in Destiny. I know some people weren't, and I'm talking about Mayhem, obviously. I'm talking about the regular raid. Now, I think there are a lot of abilities, things like, like the robes from the Warlock that you come back with a grenade every time you die. I mean, that's adding a lot of grenades to the mix and things like that. I never had a problem with that. So for me, there's no way if they were changing it that they were going to make it better for me. Like if they were planning on changing those times, they were going in on a losing battle for a person like me, because I was perfectly happy with the way it was. So if they would have made it faster or slower, I would have thought that was too fast or too slow.
I read an article that contained a bunch of people's tweets talking about basically making the joke that Destiny 2 and now comes with Trickle. And that's the way I felt. Like I hate
that does
Trickle.
Suck. That does suck because
that's a very accurate statement too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like that's where I am with this. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh my god, of course. That's exactly what this feels like. When am I going to get my abilities back? Who knows? But
there's always a post every week that Trickle was on, like the Nightfall. There's always a post on the subreddit about how Trickle is the worst modifier.
Right?
And
Absolutely.
it's so funny.
But okay, no, wait. The one other thing that I forgot to mention is because I agree that it does need to be changed a little bit. We also are pretty positive that there are perks on armor that will change the rate that you get things. Okay, so you also have to take that into account too.
Yeah.
There were in the older builds. There aren't in this build, and we don't know that there are going to be in the next build.
Okay, so if you guys had listened to Bungie's last podcast, okay, basically what they said is they wanted to give everybody an opportunity to try out this game, not try every single aspect of this game, just to try it, and mainly get a stress test for their servers and all the new stuff.
Yeah, but my point was that in the previous build, those pictures, they were there. So they actively went in and took them out for this
because
build.
They didn't want everybody going and messing around with all that stuff yet, because that's the stuff that they want people to have fun with when the game launches.
I could see that. I could see that. But I mean, really, we're just commenting on what is in front of us.
Yeah.
And it would be it would be foolish to condemn the game in the future for something that we haven't seen yet. But as it stands, Destiny 2 Trickle, like that's what we're looking at here. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bummer. Jez, did you have a comment on all of this?
Yeah, it's a little bit too low. I think maybe there might need to be some tuning to do with the rate of energy, like super energy gained through kills versus through time. But that's really a number cruncher thing that they just have to do on their end. And I'm sure they'll probably look at it. There'll be another pass on it for sure.
And based on what they said in the weekly update this week, who knows how much of that's already changed. Like they said, this is more for networking and stress testing than anything else. Oh, that's something we didn't talk about was, are you guys disappointed at all that there was zero progression displayed within this? Like, we don't know how fast things are going to level up. We don't know how things will infuse together. We don't know how our abilities will increase. They really took all of that out of the beta.
I don't think it matters. Like,
yeah,
people are complaining about there's no progression in the beta, but like the progression is the boring part in a beta. Especially.
Well, but too quick progression was a criticism of Destiny 1 and might turn someone off of playing Destiny 2. So knowing how that progression works could be a deciding factor in whether someone wants to join in the Destiny 2 bandwagon or not.
Okay, I don't want to steal all the time because I know we're running short. Graces, we got only a few minutes left, but I don't think that we needed to waste our time doing progression. I'm glad that they didn't. One, it will give us something to learn and do in the new game, and it kind of goes off the same aspect of not giving us any patrol and stuff like that. Bungie knows that stuff is already working, and they want to leave it for us to see new and be excited when it comes in. Same thing with progression, same thing with infusion and all that stuff. Totally no problem with them not adding that to the game. And it also gives us a chance to just, boom, go in there and you can do that strike. You can go in there and do PvP. You don't have to worry about all that stuff.
Well, additionally, I feel like it was really, really smart of them to take that out because I feel like that's part of what we get attached to. Look at how far I've come. I was level 1 and now I'm level 8. And where did that all go? By taking that away from us and just making it a static, here's your guardian, here's just all these options. We don't have as much, put into them. We haven't put as much of ourselves into them. So it's easier for them to just wipe it away from us because we never really had it.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the issues for the Destiny 1 beta that people complained about, right? They wanted to carry their progression into the live game, the full game, And it just seems pretty ridiculous that you would allow that from a beta, that people would actually complain that they weren't able to do that. And I think that Bungie just learned from that experience and said, we're not going to bother with that, and nobody's going to complain about what can they carry over, because you started off leveled, and the guns that you got are pretty few compared to what's going to be in the main game. That I'm certainly not going to complain that I'm not going to have these guns, or I'm not going to have the same skill set. I look forward to that grind early in the game. It's what I miss most in Destiny 1 right now, is feeling like I'm actually achieving something.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Agrios, why don't you hit us with your best shot? Fire away.
What?
News. Why don't you give us some news?
You got to sing it, Remy. It doesn't count if you don't sing it.
Okay, so if he doesn't have news, I've got a little bit of news, since we're running short on time. San Diego Comic-Con has basically started, right? Mega Constructs, we all knew a while back. In fact, many of us on the podcast wanted to get one of these, big huge box, beautiful purple engram, and inside was the Mega Constructs version of a ghost. It was the Iron Lord's ghost, or was it the Iron Banner one? I don't remember now, but really beautiful ghost. And that was going to be sold only at San Diego Comic-Con. But yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or maybe it was today, they announced some of the new stuff that they are going to be showcasing down there. And one of the things was an amazing Cabal ship, huge Cabal ship. And I don't know, I'm just, again, I'm a huge, not just Destiny fanatic, but toy fanatic too. So anything else to go on the shelves that I don't have set up yet. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited about that. Those mega constructs.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to them as well. All right, what you got, Agrios?
Okay, so we already talked about a big chunk of things, and we don't have very much time left to actually discuss through anything. But there is to start off with a quick thing that you can do in the beta while it's there if you're interested. There is an infinite super glitch that you can do by taking advantage of the pikes in the strike and launching your super at the exact moment you board the pike. Then you switch weapons and switch back again. And when you get off, you have infinite supers. So if you want to have a little fun with that while the beta's around, hopefully Bungie patches that out before Destiny 2 lands.
For like the rest of the strike, or what?
Yeah, the exact same glitch happened in Destiny 1, and basically it will last the whole time. Back when it hit in Destiny 1, somebody went through one or multiple raids with full supers the whole time.
Crazy. I'm gonna try that out. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Does it concern anybody that we're having problems already with the same sort of glitches that we had in Destiny 1, even though this is on a new engine?
Yeah, I feel like Jeff Goldblum here. Life finds a way. I feel like that's the takeaway here.
I hope no one was taking a drinking game or playing a drink game where every time Remy references a movie or some pop culture, take a shot, because you'd be gone by now.
Well, the other thing you have to take into consideration, everybody always complains about this. Bungie's only, what is it now, 700 people, something like that, that are working on this game. 700 minds trying to figure out all this stuff that's going on. Right now we got a beta going on. How many people are playing? A heck of a lot more, and they're coming up with zillions of different ideas and glitches that just somebody at Bungie didn't think about. So I'm not concerned about them finding stuff.
Excellent. Moving on.
So they mentioned in the weekly update this week that the matchmaking setups for the two different Crucible experiences they're both using the same matchmaking settings. They say that their goals for the Crucible and Destiny 2 are to provide a great experience for players who enjoy competitive PvP activities and ensure players who enjoy PvP have fair and fun matches. There have been some reports. I haven't personally had many issues with them so far, but there have been reports of glitching around red bars already. Some of the more skilled PvP players that I know have complained about the sweatiness of matches if they're not in a full fire team. That the matchmaking is still too strict. Now I personally am a fan of strong matchmaking. I like to be matched against people as close to my skill level as that they can put me with. And I definitely don't think, though, that skilled players should have to wait ridiculous times for matches as well. What have your matchmaking experiences been, and what do you think about their plans for Destiny 2?
Okay, so the times that I've played have been either really great matched games where I felt like, oh man, I'm going to get that guy next time, or, I can't believe he got me. And then there was opportunity to grow and opportunity to, to adapt. And then there's been games where it's just been so one-sided. There was a point where we lost one person and just nobody else ever showed up. And that person left because we were getting stomped on. And then after that person left, we got stomped on even harder because there wasn't another person there to even help put it back. So it's either been a really great game, a really fun game where the matching was fantastic, or like just so one-sided. And once you get into that one-sided match, it just takes forever. Like I feel like the games where it was matched fine, I played my part. I had a good time. I moved on with my life. The games that weren't matched well, it was like, oh man, this is just the first round. I'm in for it for the rest of this time. And it was just the longest match there ever was. And it was disappointing, and it didn't feel good. It was not fun. Gray, what are your PvP experiences?
Not so great solo queuing, or even queuing with one other person, but you get a full team in there, 4 people, and it's been a blast. I mean, I've had some great times. We had a good run with all Guardian 1 members. It was Tech, Jelly, Mark, and I played for quite a few hours the first day, and just felt good. Being able to coordinate as a team, learn different tactics. We didn't really run into too many connection issues. Granted, half of our fire team is in England and the other half is here in the Midwest. But we did see a little bit of connection issues. But we definitely could tell, you go up against a team that's communicating, that's coordinating well, and that experience is going to, you get rolled pretty easily against a skilled team. I played a little tonight with Hefty and Legacy, their first time, and they don't do a whole lot of Crucible. And, it's much more tactical. So even for them, it probably wasn't as enjoyable of an experience because they're still learning what the new Crucible is going to be like, where you have to coordinate better as a team, really collapse in unison and team shot to win those encounters. But I've really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun in Crucible. Obviously, they need to tweak some things, but I'm not shy. I'm not going to shy away from getting into Crucible in Destiny 2. In Destiny 1, I didn't play Crucible for probably the first 6 or 8 months of the game. It was just something that was intimidating, and I don't necessarily feel that way going into Destiny 2.
Excellent. Sharks, what is your take on PvP in Destiny 2? Sharks is going PP. Jez, what is your take on PvP in Destiny 2?
Not good.
Because you haven't played it, or what?
No, I played it. I played 2 matches the entire time because both matches I was so laggy the entire time. Like, I can tell it was me. And I don't understand how other people are so good when they're red bar when I can't anyone when I'm red barring. But yeah, it was not fun.
Interesting. Sharks, PvP. You end it. What is your take?
Okay, so I've been thinking if I want to piss people off or not by how I make this comment. Because no, I'm just going to do it. And because I know the comment's actually not really a true comment. If you aren't liking PvP, whether you're in a group or in solo queuing, and you're saying that the matchmaking sucks, what you need to do is get good. Okay, because there ain't no damn matchmaking like what people are saying. This game is brand new. They are not going off of your ELO from Destiny 1. Okay, this is all brand new shit.
You know that? How do you know this?
Because they said it. They also said that there's no skill-based matchmaking in Destiny 2 beta. They announced that like a couple weeks ago. They said
I read otherwise.
Yeah, I read otherwise too.
Not only is there skill-based matchmaking in the beta, but it's the same for the competitive and the quick play.
Correct. Yeah, they said that the how they're doing it is the same, but they said that it's not all based off of skill-based matchmaking. Okay, all I know is you when you go and you play Destiny 1, you go and make a brand new account and you go and play. You are put into an open bracket until you actually get your percentages. Okay. And that open bracket isn't after 2 hours of playing. Okay, you got to play a lot longer than that to actually get out of that bracket so that they can tell what your skill is. Okay, everybody and their brother is playing this game right now, and you're playing against people that are tryhards, and you're getting people that have literally never played PvP before in their entire life. My brother has never played PvP. Okay, so you're going to get a big mix. Okay, I am not a 2500 ELO player, but I'm not a shit player, and I can go in there and I can carry a whole team of 3 that completely suck in this new setup. Okay, you go into games and you are going to get your ass handed to you sometimes, and you're going to go into games and you're going to hand people their asses sometimes, whether you're doing it by yourself, you're doing it with 2 people, 3 people, or 4. Okay, so it's really, really bugging the crap out of me that so many people in the community are so down on the way that the matchmaking is and everything else. And of course, now people like Teft and other people are showing some of these red bar things that are happening. It's gonna happen, of course, but there has been so little lag in this beta at all compared to Destiny 1. I can't play Destiny 1 anymore, and most people can't play Destiny 1 anymore because it is so horrible. You can't sit there and look at somebody because they're going like this the whole time. That's not really happening here. There have been times that it's been sucky, where I know that it's either a lag or it's some kind of code error in the beta itself. But as far as matchmaking and everything else, it's actually really interesting how they've done it. I like it so far. And if they are actually going to keep this, what they're calling competitive, if that ends up being the new trials, I could see going in, matching up with 3 randoms and actually going all the way to the lighthouse. I think it's great.
All right, Agrios, what is your take on this? And then why don't you give us everything that you can before we out here? We got 5 minutes, less than.
Destiny 2 Crucible matchmaking places greater emphasis on connection quality, but make no mistake, skill is still a big component in finding worthy opponents for you to fight. I hope they tune it. I would really just like to see ranked and not ranked playlists like before, because that's just what's going to make people happy. If you want to play skill based, play skill based. If you want to play connection only based, play connection only based.
Right. I can see that.
But I mean, that's going to divide the pool of people going to any given event in half. And
True.
if they're going to do that, I want them to do that as a blanket for all events. I don't want events to be certain events are this way, certain events are this way.
I think that's exactly how it's going to be.
For everybody to do that. What?
I think that's exactly how it's going to be.
Unfortunately, it may be. I mean, I don't mind them tuning the different events differently, but I mean, if they did ranked and not ranked playlist, as in skill-based matchmaking and not at all skill-based matchmaking, at that point, if they went that extreme, that's when I'd really want them to not separate that. If you just tune it slightly differently, that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're just going to tweak it a little bit. Then I don't have as big of a problem with that. Otherwise, we've discussed all the major points. I have lots of little bits and pieces of info, but in the time we have left, they would just be a broken string of nonsense.
Got it. Well, then we will catch up next week with the remainder of this. We still have a couple days left. We still have the farm to go to, and I've only played the Titan and the Hunter, so I will have played all of these. I will have played all of these subclasses by then, and we will have a much better idea of everything that's happening. So why don't we do shout outs and get on out of here, starting with Gray.
I mean, I think my shout out has to go to Bungie this week for providing us with an experience that gives me full confidence that we're going to go into Destiny 2 and I'm going to have a game at my hands that I'm willing to put another 1,000 hours of my life into. There's not many games that I mean, there's only one other game that I've given that much time of my life into. So yeah, thank you, Bungie, for squashing my biggest fears. Not that I really thought that you were going to let us down here, but you have exceeded my expectations and have definitely made me excited for what's to come.
That's really excellent. I like that a lot, Gray. Sharks.
I'm going to do a Jez shout out this week. Shout out to YouTube for helping me find a video to fix my dryer. No, seriously. Actually, my real shout out is actually to everybody that has been coming to my streams. It's been really fun, whether I'm playing by myself or playing in a group, listening and chatting with people, trying to get better doing that. Of course, after this podcast and how much I've been defending Bungie, everybody might hate me now, and it was nice while it lasted.
Excellent. Agrios.
Shout out this week to I forgot who my shout out was to this week. So we'll do a shout out to all the great people who joined us in chat this week. Thank you.
Excellent. Jez.
I like how Sharks thinks that my shoutouts go out to someone that actually helped or actually meant something. But this week, my shoutout would go to the Hunter class ability that had some team viability, but it's not there.
Right, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that this week. It doesn't make sense. I like that a lot, Jez. Excellent. My shout out goes to a person I met on Twitter named DJ Pew, part of the Starside Echoes. I believe that's what the name of the clan was. I tweeted out really close to the end of the evening on Monday that I'm still looking for that Wrath of the Machine hard mode completion for my book, and nobody ended up responding. And then one person did, and they're like, "Oh, are you still looking?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, we got like 5 minutes until reset. It's not. I've come to terms with the fact that it's not going to happen." And he was like, "Oh, this sounds like a challenge." And so this person put together a group, and we hit the iteration before reset, and we beat the initial encounter after reset happened, but we all still got our bones. So we were thinking that this is going to happen. Like if we beat this time through, then this will count towards my book. But we never got past Vosik. it's an encounter that if not everybody is paying attention or not everybody is able to even just cover their own ass, it doesn't happen. So I want to give a thanks to that DJ Pew, because I really appreciated the hustle. I myself am not really good at calling like a group of people, and so watching you do that so quickly was really helpful. And even though we didn't make it and I didn't get that node knocked off on my book, I still really appreciate you helping me out. So looking forward to playing some more Destiny with you. Thank you very much. And that wraps up episode 141. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.